I've been moving parcels across the world for over 15 years now, over 1 million items a year. There's a lot of businesses miss some of these aspects out, and it really is a stumbling block for scale. Your product will get to a customs check and there will be a delay and a huge risk of a return to sender. You could be overpaying on your warehousing fees, and you could actually end up using the wrong courier service. Those other 80% of SKUs that really aren't adding value to your business are actually costing you money. There's some SKUs can sit on the shelves for years, not moving, and that's really not good for anybody. If you get those 5 things right, it'll do you really well as you look to grow your business. Hi, I'm Stephen Henderson, CEO of SJ Henderson Fulfilment. I've been moving parcels across the world for over 15 years now, and we now pick, pack and dispatch over 1 million items a year for 70 businesses. It's fantastic to be involved with so many businesses. And what I've done, I've actually picked out 5 fundamentals I believe are key to a business's success online. And I'm really excited to go over those with you today. The main thing I discuss with clients when they first join us is, well, asking, do you have an SKU in place for every product variant that you sell? And an SKU stands for a stock keeping unit, and essentially it's an abbreviated product title. So if you have a blue t-shirt in medium and a blue t-shirt in large, that can literally be BT-M, BT-L, and that's your 2 different SKUs. It's important to have that in place because suppliers, e-commerce marketplaces will ask for that as a basic requirement to list the product online. Following that, you'll need a barcode for every variant as well. So those 2 different t-shirts and their 2 different sizes require 2 differing barcodes. So that's your 2 real fundamentals of setting up your product on your system to enable yourself to sell online. But from there are other pieces of information that people often overlook. And this is really critical in today's world when the world seems to be getting that bit smaller and you want to scale, you want to sell overseas, you must have these other pieces of information to hand and ready to go. You must ensure that you have your weight and your dimensions in place for your SKUs. And that's to make sure that whenever you sell it, that the appropriate courier service is used, and to make sure that you are paying the appropriate warehousing fees no matter where that product is placed across the world. The commodity code and the country of origin are really critical for exporting overseas to make sure you are charged the correct duties on your export. If you get all these pieces of information correct and true for every SKU that you want to list online or make available to sale, you'll do really well. There's a lot of businesses miss some of these aspects out, and it really is a stumbling block for scale. And you find yourself having to go looking for these pieces of information at the point of sale, which isn't what you want to be doing. You want to make sure they're in place, ready to go before product launch, and everything else is much smoother and easier for you and your business. So if you don't actually get these key pieces of information in place, there's a lot of problems that await you, unfortunately. Your product will get to a customs check and you'll not have a commodity code, the country of origin will be missing, and the courier will not allow that to go any further. They'll contact yourself or your fulfillment center, and there will be a delay and a huge risk of a return to sender at your expense, which you really do not want. So those pieces of information must be in place before you actually export your product. From a fulfillment point of view, if you don't have your weights and dimensions in place, you could be overpaying on your warehousing fees, and you could actually end up using the wrong courier service because your item could weigh 1.8 kg, but you have it in as 2.5. Therefore, you're paying for a service, a more premium service, when you don't need to. So that's another key operational piece of information to have to hand to save you money at the end of the day. As well as that, if you're looking to the future and automation, every single digit counts when it comes to your actual weights and your dimensions. So as, yes, the automation solution actually understands where your product is, the size and the weight, and to ensure that you're best set up for that automation solution moving forward in the future. So it really is a foundation for your business to build upon and to ensure that you're future ready for your product catalog. This is an example of a really well presented box with the barcode, the label, the SKU and description all in place. So what you have first of all is the SKU, the product abbreviation, and here it says RM-GS3-S stands for the brand, the product variant and the material used. So super easy to understand and visually really easy to read that when an operator is looking to work with the product, pick and pack and ship. Beneath that is a scalable barcode image, which is really important. A lot of the time you can get a barcode image, but it doesn't scan and renders it useless. So it's really important to have that really clear. And underneath, this brand actually has the EAN in digit format as well for essentially double verification. For example, if that didn't scan, the operator could key that barcode in and it would verify. So really good to have those three pieces of information at eye level when somebody first glances at a product: the SKU, the barcode image, and the barcode digits as well. Another step further would be to actually have the product description as well underneath that, and that also was displayed on this product. It says the Rua GS3 ukulele guitar stand Sapele, which, alluding to the SKU, is a greater detail on what the SKU stands for, which is incredibly helpful. This product as well, we have the weights, the dimensions, and it's also in ready to ship packaging. So an example of a product that as soon as an operator comes to it, can pick it, can ship it, and there's no additional processing required, and has all the key pieces of information ready to go. What you don't see here is the information I was chatting about in terms of the country of origin, the commodity code, the actual weight, obviously, and the size is not detailed here, but when the operator scans this, it exists on the warehouse management system. It'll exist on your supplier's database. And so this barcode actually identifies that to the customs agencies, to FedEx, DHL, etc. So it all lives underneath this barcode on the system that it exists on. So that product is ready to be shipped anywhere across the world with ease, with a click of a button. So you're a business and you've got your product and you're ready to start selling it. I'm a product person. I love being hands-on with products and launching a product. It's one of the most exciting things you can do in business. Sometimes people go ahead and do that without thinking further down the line in regards to how they really want to sell it in terms of combinations with other products. One thing we can do, and many businesses can do, is set products up as bundles. And it means, for example, in the beauty sector, it's obviously huge. Put together a few different beauty sets and you have a bundle together that you can sell. What you want to realize as a business is that a bundle SKU, the SKU that we recently just spoken about, you want to actually have that in place for the bundle, but it's not actually a physical product. So it's a SKU that sits on its own, and that SKU, when it's purchased on your website, actually triggers the bundle pieces to be picked. And what I mean by that is you could have, let's call it SKU 1 and SKU 2. Whenever you sell something called SKU A, it could trigger the fulfillment center to actually pick SKU 1 and SKU 2. And that SKU A never actually physically exists anywhere. It's just a trigger. So that is what is classified as a bundle SKU. Something you don't hold stock of, but you can associate any number of SKUs with that to trigger the fulfillment process. So that is an amazing tool for you to use for your business when you're selling on Shopify, Amazon, or any of these other online marketplaces, and really helpful to expand your catalog without having to actually expand your catalog physically. Another process which some businesses use is called kitting. And that's very different. Sometimes bundles and kits can get very confused, and some companies call them the other. So from my point of view, a kit is something that is actually kitted physically together to create something. And so that is whenever, for example, if we were to use SKU A that I just spoke about in the bundle, if that was to be used as a kit, it actually would be a physical product. we'd be taking SKU 1 and SKU 2 and turning it into SKU A. It physically would be put together, it'd be put in a box, it would be labelled with its SKU and barcode, and it would sit on a shelf ready for sale. So that's super helpful if you're a business who understands your customer, understands that this product will actually sell very well at scale. You may be getting ready for a huge sale to put on, and you want to have that physically ready to go. So you can actually go ahead, create these kit SKUs. They must be brand new SKUs, never used before, totally unique to this new inventory pool. And you can command that yourself within your own warehouse, with your fulfillment center, whoever does your logistics. Ask them to kit these products for you and make sure there's that SKU and EAM barcode for that. So it's really helpful for that purpose. It really enables scale. But what you need to understand is once you convert those 2 SKUs into that kit, it's gone. It's now part of that new product. It's been absorbed, and that inventory is not now usable anymore in its individual format. So it's not as adaptable. Whereas the bundle SKU, well, you can have 100 bundle SKUs and all your inventory actually is still liftable, it's still sellable in its individual format. Whereas your kitting is not. It's actually creating something with those SKUs. So it's really good to understand those 2 options for your business. As I say, in like the beauty sector, for example, it's massive and really, really advantageous for beauty companies to do that and to offer these different bundle and kitting options for their businesses. So something that I just wanted to touch on today to explain the benefits for your business, to be able to expand your product catalog without having to actually create new physical products. When it comes to product packaging, sometimes people get really caught up in the aesthetics and trying to make it as beautiful and eye-catching as possible. And that's really important. The customer unpacking experience is huge these days, and you really want to pay attention to that. But what's often overlooked is how it's packaged for the fulfillment center or the distribution center that you're going to be sending the goods into. Quite often, goods will come in and they're really beautiful to look at and they're sitting there on the shelf, but then they have to be picked and then they have to actually be put inside another carton and wrapped around and sealed up and a label put on. That all takes time, and as we all know, time is money, and you're actually paying for that as a business somewhere along the line. Something I believe businesses really should pay attention to is actually trying to capture that aesthetic, that customer unboxing experience at manufacturing, and actually getting it closed inside a ready-to-ship container, getting it into a fulfillment center, therefore meaning when it's picked, it just needs to be picked, a shipping label attached, and it goes out the door. That enables huge cost savings. You might be thinking, okay, that's great, Stephen, but I actually have to pay a little bit more at the manufacturing side to get it put inside another carton. Yes, that's true. However, I do believe that will be much cheaper than paying labour on somebody picking, packing and shipping on an individual basis, because you're getting that applied at scale at the manufacturing side. What it means is when it gets to your logistics centre and it's in stock, well, you're more adaptable, you're ready to go, you're ready to scale so much quicker whenever you get those sales volumes that you're going after. So something that only a handful of our clients have done here is actually send the products in and ready to ship packaging. And we've been able to ship out huge numbers here as a fulfillment center. So something if you're shipping your own goods at home or in your garage or in your own warehouse, something to pay attention to the next time you're working with your product, and next time maybe you're designing your new product. How can I actually reduce the lead time from whenever my customer clicks buy now till the moment it gets dispatched? You want to cut that right down so as you can grow your numbers in terms of how many you can ship in one day. Product churn is something that you don't hear talked about very often. And realistically, what it's about is actually the products that you remove from your inventory. It's something that you don't want to sell anymore. Discontinue those SKUs. Something that's not nice to do. A lot of people want to hang on to the SKUs because, well, there was a lot of work involved in getting them there. But you will have heard of like the 80-20 rule, whereby you will see this, I'm sure, in your own business, where 80% of your sales come from 20% of your catalog. And with that, Well, I myself have my own e-commerce brand, and I've seen that myself, and I know how easy it is to think of, how do I increase sales? Well, let's actually expand my catalogue further. Let's create another colour. Let's create another size. And I've been on that path, and yes, it has increased some sales. All of a sudden you're left with maybe 200 or 300 SKUs, and you're having to manage them. So those other 80% of SKUs that really aren't really adding value to your business are actually costing you money, because you're having to manage them online, you're having to warehouse them, you're having to manufacture them and buy them, but actually they're not transacting very often. Where on the flip side, 20% of your catalogue is actually 80% of your business. So that product churn, in terms of actually discontinuing the SKUs aren't working anymore, is a huge benefit to businesses, and I believe actually is something that people should really pay attention to, and on a monthly basis actually look at, okay, what products aren't performing, what products are continually not performing, and decide, okay, which are we going to discontinue and sell off, not to buy again, not to manufacture again, and focus on the winners. It's something that is it's a painful process at times. As I said, you put a lot of time and effort into designing these products, into bringing them into warehousing them. But it's often the barrier to scale, because you're spending so much time and money. It's all tied up in those SKUs that aren't doing anything for you or for the future of your business. So a product churn, monthly management on that, and being aggressive, being led by the data and not your emotion in terms of your inventory and the future of what that actually looks like, is crucial to the success and scale of your business. How long inventory sits before it sells is a huge, huge thing to consider. That inventory cycle is something that you really want to monitor and look at and review as time goes on. A lot of businesses aim for 2 to 3 months of inventory at any given time, and that's a really good rule of thumb. But obviously you want to tighten that up as much as possible. There's some SKUs can sit on the shelves for years, not moving, and that's really not good for anybody at all in terms of an expense and time and management on those SKUs. So to actually free up cash for your business and keep it as lean as possible, that rule of thumb of 2 to 3 months of your inventory sitting on the shelf before it moves is a really good metric to look at. If you actually see any inventory spending more time than that, it's good to look at things like, can I run a promotion on that or a sale? Your business obviously more than I do, and how you can actually move that inventory along. But it also transpires in the discussions you're having with your suppliers. Sometimes suppliers can push inventory on you and give you incredible sales as well, because they're trying to move things along into your warehouse. And it might sound like an incredibly good deal, but if you're sitting on it for a long period of time, sometimes it's better to pay the full price and actually only get it when you need it. So sometimes, it's too easy to fall into that trap in today's world. But if you're religious about the 2 to 3 months of inventory on your shelves at any given time, it will do you so well, free up cash and leave you more agile and adaptable in today's world. So those are my 5 e-commerce fundamentals that I believe are really core to the foundations of any e-commerce business. It's your product catalog and understanding that structure, making sure it's in place first and foremost. Then looking at and understanding the difference in bundles and kits in regards to how you can sell your SKUs. Understanding your product and can you actually place it in ready to ship packaging to enable scale. Understanding your product churn and whether or not you need to actually remove inventory to grow. And then your product or inventory cycle, how long your product is sitting on your shelves, and monitoring that and managing that. If you get those 5 things right and continually review and pay attention to these 5 main areas, it'll do you really well as you look to grow your business and give you a really good foundation to move forward with. I hope you've enjoyed today's episode. You can head to sjhfulfillment.com or check out the link in the description where you'll find a 1-pager there of e-commerce fundamentals. You can share that with somebody you know who runs an e-commerce business or maybe wants to start up an e-commerce business. It'll be those 5 fundamentals there and a checklist to see if you're ready to scale. We hope you've enjoyed today's episode of Freedom to Grow. We're here to give you value and we really hope that we have done that today. We look forward to meeting again next time on our next episode of Freedom to Grow.